Bryan Danielson is the brand new AEW World Champion, winning the title last night at All In, defeating Swerve Strickland. He's also teased an announcement regarding his pro wrestling future this week. And we've also got backstage details on just how hard AEW President and CEO Tony Khan had to push for Danielson to win the gold. Swerve Strickland, despite losing the title, he's sticking around with AEW after signing a brand new contract. Will Ospreay defeats MJF to become the brand new international champion. Daniel Garcia was involved in the finish of that match. Has he signed a new contract with AEW? Christian Cage wins the Casino Gauntlet match, earning a future AEW World title match. During the match, we saw the in-ring return of Nigel McGuinness for the first time in over 12 years. An update on his pro wrestling future. Ricochet also made his AEW debut during the Casino Gauntlet match, and his first Dynamite match has possibly been revealed. I mentioned Christian Cage was busy. In the opening of the show, he lost the AEW World Trios titles to PAC and the Blackpool Combat Club. Mariah May is the brand new AEW Women's World Champion, defeating her mentor, Timeless Toni Storm. Sting makes his return to AEW, coming to the aid of Darby Allin after losing a coffin match to Jack Perry. Hook is the brand new FTW champion with some assistance from his father Taz. Mercedes Moné retains the AEW TBS championship. Jamie Hayter makes her return to AEW TV. Details on how she got cleared to compete. The Forbidden Door is heading to London next year, as it was announced that the AEW and New Japan crossover pay-per-view is coming to England. Also, a big announcement from AEW, because AEW Grand Slam Australia has been announced for February of next year. Another stadium show for All Elite Wrestling. Tomohiro Ishii pins Stokely Hathaway, and this means Willow Nightingale picks a stipulation of her match against Chris Statlander at All Out. And Tony Khan says that AEW Collision is much easier backstage than this time last year. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there are plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. Let's begin with Bryan Danielson winning the AEW World Championship at AEW All In last night, but there's quite a lot of speculation still about his future in professional wrestling. Bryan Danielson emerged victorious against Swerve Strickland in the main event of AEW All In, using the LaBelle Lock to tap out the champion and ensure that his wrestling career will continue for a little while longer. With his victory, Danielson became the 9th person to hold the AEW World Championship, bringing Strickland's reign to an end at 126 days. Before the All-In main event, Danielson stopped to embrace his wife, Brie, and their children, that being Birdie and Buddy, who have played an important part in this storyline as Danielson has contemplated the end of his in-ring career. A simple glance by Strickland towards Danielson's family during the match enraged the longtime wrestler, and the champion continued to antagonize his opponent by dragging a bloody Danielson over to his family later on in the bout. Further into the bout, with Strickland taking in the fact that the crowd was firmly against him, the champion landed a series of house call kicks to Danielson's head, and Danielson just barely managed to break the 3 count. The challenger then began to reclaim momentum in the match by taking comfort in the sight of his family, leading to an intense back and forth between the two fierce competitors that included Danielson becoming the first person to kick out of Strickland's big pressure finisher. After a brief appearance from a disheveled and enraged Hangman Adam Page, Strickland and Danielson turned their focus back on one another. Danielson was then finally able to make Strickland tap at the end of the match. He is now the brand new AEW World Champion. Now, as far as what this means moving forward, well, obviously there's still a lot of speculation about Bryan Danielson's future in professional wrestling. Now, new AEW World Champion Bryan Danielson, who has teased retirement recently, has no idea what his future with AEW is going to look like following his victory at All In. Danielson, in the post-All-In press conference, stated that he hadn't put much thought into his pro wrestling future after teasing retirement numerous times heading into his match with Swerve Strickland at Sunday's pay-per-view. But he revealed that he will be a part of Wednesday's AEW Dynamite show, where he will make an announcement. Quote, "I honestly haven't thought about my future at all past tonight, so I don't know what's going to happen, but I'll be there in Champaign, Illinois on Wednesday, and between now and then we'll figure out, and I'm sure I'll have an announcement then," said the AEW World Champion. Now, Danielson was then asked by a journalist if he could potentially end his career at the WrestleDream pay-per-view in October, which will take place at the Tacoma Dome in his home state of Washington. The former WWE star reiterated he hasn't planned anything yet past the All-In pay-per-view. Quote, "Honestly, like I said, this was my sole focus is tonight. I was very happy with how things turned out, and then everything going forward, I'm going to have to think about," revealed Danielson. Now, he asked his daughter, who was sitting on his lap during the press conference, if she wanted him to come home. She replied affirmatively, prompting Danielson to rhetorically question how he could not listen to her. The AEW star has stated earlier this year that he wants to retire to spend time with his family, at least full-time retirement of professional wrestling. He may wrestle occasionally on a part-time basis, while he's also revealed that his body is breaking down, specifically citing that he needs neck surgery. Now, as far as the backstage details as to how this title victory came together, well, again, he wasn't keen on it happening for a very long time. Bryan Danielson is the AEW World Champion, something he wasn't keen on happening for a very long time, as I mentioned. Fightful had confirmed the word that Danielson had often and actively pushed against winning championships in AEW. However, ultimately he gave in, and Fightful have been told that AEW founder Tony Khan was adamant that Danielson become AEW champion at some point. Specifically, Fightful have been told that Khan wanted the closing moment of AEW All In, with Danielson celebrating as champion. Those that Fightful spoke with immediately after the show claimed that the decision for Danielson versus Swerve to main event All In and for Danielson to main event was made by at least April. Swerve and Ospreay, as many had theorized, hadn't been planned, with one source noting that Ospreay will have chances to main event Wembley for years to come. Now, there were some jokes backstage of a reverse Montreal screw job to ensure that Danielson actually won the match, as had been reported previously. Danielson's in-ring future, so to speak, has come into focus way more over the last couple of months as he worked very banged up on the road to All In, but he is the AEW World Champion. For how long? We'll have to wait and see. Now, his opponent, Swerve Strickland, certainly got a lot of accolades coming out of last night, and he's also put pen to paper on a brand new AEW contract. Now, during the 2-hour, 0-hour kickoff show, Strickland was shown backstage alongside Prince Nana, signing his brand new AEW contract. He then passed it over to AEW CEO Tony Khan, who signed as well. The two men shook hands. Now, Strickland had recently alluded to being in contract negotiations during a Barstool Wrestling interview. Fightful reporter Sean Ross Sapp said on X that Strickland and Khan had been in legitimate talks for quite some time. As of this recording, there's no word on the length, compensation, or any other details of the contract, but Strickland's future is firmly with AEW. Now, Will Ospreay, he is the brand new AEW International Champion. Will Ospreay has won his second consecutive match at AEW All In, defeating Maxwell Jacob Friedman for the AEW American Championship. Following a pair of elaborate entrances, the rematch began with an intense stare down before quickly picking up the pace, with Ospreay attempting a hidden blade just minutes into the match. Unsurprisingly, things weren't that simple. Building off their lengthy bout last month, this match was about showing how well MJF and Ospreay know each other as opponents, meaning there were plenty of counters and reversals. Daniel Garcia appeared for a key spot near the end of the match, preventing MJF from using a foreign object against Ospreay and setting up the final sequence. Throughout the match, despite the crowd chanting for it, Ospreay continued to show his reluctance to pull out the Tiger Driver 91, the sometimes finisher that Ospreay retired earlier this year. At one point in the bout, MJF teased using the move on Ospreay, but his opponent successfully reversed. The Tiger Driver has become a key aspect of this feud, so it was appropriate that the match concluded with Ospreay landing the finisher to put MJF down for the 3 count. Following Ospreay's victory, AEW interim EVP Christopher Daniels appeared, presenting the victor with the old AEW International Championship. The title had been rebranded to the AEW American Championship by MJF in the weeks leading up to All In, with Ospreay making it clear that he'd revert the title to its old form if he won it back. So indeed, that has happened. Now, we spoke about Daniel Garcia. As you can see right there, he did appear at the conclusion of the bout, and it's led to some speculation about whether or not he has signed a new deal with AEW. Now, AEW CEO Tony Khan has discussed the future of Daniel Garcia, who made his return to the promotion at the All-In pay-per-view on Sunday. Garcia, who had last appeared in AEW on July 3rd, interfered in the match between MJF and Will Ospreay at All In. Garcia is reportedly in talks with the promotion regarding a new contract, as per PW Insider, with his contract set to expire in October. Khan, in the post-All In press conference, did not reveal if Garcia has re-signed with AEW, but is seemingly optimistic about his future with the promotion. Quote, "I don't want to necessarily comment on everybody's contract length or status, but Daniel is here and he's been a great part of AEW. AEW. The AEW CEO highlighted how the last 3 years have been great for the promotion, tying that in with Garcia's 3 years in AEW. Khan, while not revealing if Garcia had re-signed with AEW, stated that him appearing at All In was a great sign. Quote, "It's been about 3 years with Daniel here. Daniel Garcia started with us in Daly's place, and he was kind of on that run of shows right before we went back and started wrestling in front of crowds again," recalled Khan. So he's somebody who's been with us for a very long time, somebody beloved by the fans and backstage, and we loved having Daniel here. Without saying exactly what's going on, it's a good sign that he was here, I think, and a really great to have him come and take that next step tonight after what happened with him and MJF and Will Ospreay being involved in the international title. It was a great payoff to a lot of storytelling in the recent weeks on Dynamite. Now, Christian Cage, again, he was a very busy man last night, but coming out of it, he may not be 1/3 of the AEW World Trios champion, but he does have a future AEW World Championship opportunity. Now, Christian Cage's night in Wembley Stadium started on a sour note as the former World Trios champion was dethroned alongside Nick Wayne and Killswitch, which we'll get onto later on, but Cage was able to turn things around in the Casino Gauntlet. Cage entered the Casino Gauntlet and managed to overcome the 19 other competitors with the help of Killswitch to win the match and earn an AEW World title match at the time of his choosing. Cage pinned former Ring of Honor champion Kyle O'Reilly thanks to a chokeslam from Killswitch. Cage was a surprising victor as former Ring of Honor World champion Nigel McGuinness made his return to wrestling. Ricochet was involved in the match. We'll get to those in just a second. But Christian Cage does have a future opportunity at the AEW World title. Now, as mentioned, Nigel McGuinness back in professional wrestling, competing for the first time in over 12 years. AEW commentator Nigel McGuinness had seemingly put his in-ring career behind him, but a potential shot at championship gold, and more importantly, Bryan Danielson, seemed to be enough to draw him out of retirement. During the 2024 All-In pay-per-view, McGuinness emerged as a third entrant in the Casino Gauntlet match, in which the winner was guaranteed a future shot at the AEW World Championship. Immediately, McGuinness getting face-to-face with AEW's Continental Champion Kazuchika Okada, with whom he traded a series of strikes. McGuinness also took out former AEW International Champion Orange Cassidy with a lariat. Later in the match, McGuinness hit the Tower of London on Kyle O'Reilly for a 2-count pinfall attempt. McGuinness then looked to nail O'Reilly with a lariat, but was momentarily delayed by a jumping knee from Roderick Strong. Off the momentum, he had the seesaw. McGuinness then landed the lariat on O'Reilly before taking a spear from the match's eventual winner and his favorite wrestler, Christian Cage. Now, prior to All In, McGuinness last wrestled at APWA's third annual Holiday Grand Prix in December 2011, citing medical complications and his release from TNA Wrestling as the overarching reasons for his wrestling retirement. Since then, McGuinness has transitioned into a full-time broadcaster. Earlier this month, however, McGuinness stated that an in-ring return could be made possible if he had a chance to test himself against his longtime rival, Bryan Danielson. Danielson, of course, is the brand new AEW World Champion, so could we possibly see McGuinness versus Danielson in the future? We'll have to wait and see. Now, as far as what his future is going to be moving forward, naturally, during the AEW All-In post-show media scrum, Tony Khan was asked about McGuinness' status going forward and whether or not he'll be on commentary. Quote, "He will definitely be on commentary," Tony Khan said. He then praised McGuinness' work on commentary for AEW Collision, as well as the commentary he did earlier on in the evening for AEW All In. McGuinness was notably a big fan of Christian Cage, which made the spear the veteran hit on McGuinness a show of cruel irony, which Khan described as a shocking moment. But as of right now, we don't know what the wrestling future looks like for Nigel McGuinness in ring, but certainly he made his return last night. Now, Ricochet is All Elite, one of the worst kept secrets in professional wrestling. After months of speculation following the expiration of his WWE contract, Ricochet is officially All Elite, debuting in the Casino Gauntlet match at All In. AEW CEO Tony Khan made the news official with a tweet while the match was still going on. Of course, as I mentioned, it had been widely reported that this was the case, written off WWE television in June on an episode of Raw following an absolutely destructive backstage assault at the hands of Bron Breakker, which saw him leave the arena in an ambulance accompanied by his real-life fiancée, Samantha Irvin. That was the last WWE fans would see of Ricochet after a 6+ year run that saw him capture the NXT North American, United States, Intercontinental Championships. Almost immediately, rumors began to swirl that he would soon be headed for AEW, and that was officially confirmed by Fightful Select's Sean Ross Sapp last week. Now, as far as what could be happening going forward, well, Kyle Fletcher of the Don Callis family seemingly challenged Ricochet to his first match in All Elite Wrestling. After the challenge was formally made, the two men traded barbs on social media. It was revealed that the bout between Ricochet and Fletcher would take place on the August 28th episode of AEW Dynamite. The match hasn't officially been announced for Wednesday's show at the time of recording, but it looks like that indeed is going to happen. Now, I mentioned Christian Cage had a busy night because it started off not too great, because we have brand new AEW World Trios Champions. The main card of AEW All In kicked off with a full-weight London ladders match for the AEW World Trios Championships, and Pac solidified his bond with the Blackpool Combat Club by capturing the win for the team. The match was filled with the chaos of high-flying action that is expected from any ladders match, and despite their confidence going in, Christian Cage's patriarchy self-sabotaged their attempts to retain. After spending the first several minutes of the match hiding in the back, Cage finally made his way out to the ring when it made it clear that he had a shot at climbing the ladder to grab the titles. However, his plot was foiled and Cage was beaten down by the rest of the match's contestants. Minutes later, it seemed as though Killswitch was about to grab the titles to win until Cage appeared, demanding that he be the one who grabbed the belts, which gave their opponents enough time to knock them both off the ladder. At the end of the match, Killswitch physically pushed Cage up the ladder in an attempt to help him win, but Pac ascended quickly, booting Cage off the ladder and winning the match for his team. After months and months and months of abuse laid their way by Cage, the reaction to the loss from Killswitch and Nick Wayne was something to watch for, but we saw later on in the evening, Killswitch made good by helping Christian Cage win the Casino Gauntlet match. Now, Mariah May is the brand new AEW World Women's Champion. Timeless Toni Storm's reign has come to an end. The AEW Women's World Champion was dethroned on Sunday at All In by her former protege and fan Mariah May in a bloody, melodramatic contest. As Mina Shirakawa looked on from the stands, Mariah May was the one to overcome not only Storm, but her servant Luther, and even May's own mother, who May viciously slapped en route to her title victory. Storm has been champion since Full Gear in November of last year, defeating Hikaru Shida to earn her third world title in the company. May debuted in the company around the same time as Storm's devoted fan. May soon began dressing and competing like Storm, which the Women's World Champion found flattering. In May, Mariah May won the Women's Own Heart Foundation Cup tournament and swiftly betrayed Storm, attacking and bloodying Storm with her own show. Storm gained a modicum of revenge on Sunday, bloodying May herself, but ultimately was unsuccessful, with May beating Storm with her own move, Storm Zero. Now, Sting returned to AEW at Wembley Stadium after his retirement earlier on this year. The 2024 AEW All-In pay-per-view was infused with a number of surprises, including the in-ring debuts of Ricochet and Nigel McGuinness, the return of Jamie Hayter. The latter trend continued in the aftermath of Jack Perry versus Darby Allin, in which Jack Perry successfully defended the TNT Championship in what many consider to be Darby Allin's signature stipulation, the coffin match. The closing moments of the match saw Perry tape Darby Allin's hands together before binding his feet with his own belt. With Darby's physical movements now limited, Perry seized the opportunity to stuff him inside a body bag and place him inside the ringside coffin. A resilient Darby kept the fight alive by poking his head through the top of the bag, but a running knee from Perry took him out of the fight for good. Perry closed the coffin for the victory, handing Darby his first ever coffin match defeat in the process. In the aftermath, the AEW EVPs Matthew and Nicholas Jackson emerged with a gas tank with the intent of setting the coffin on fire containing Darby Allin in it. However, Sting had other ideas. As the Bucks poured gasoline over Darby and the enveloping container, Perry flipped open a lighter, but before he could connect the flame to the gasoline, the Wembley Stadium lights flickered on and off, revealing Darby Allin's former tag team partner equipped with a baseball bat. The Elite retreated to the ring while Sting made his way towards it with the sound of Metallica. Desperate, Perry attempted to take down Sting with a chair, but instead found himself retreating further. With Perry on the outside, Sting delivered then a double Scorpion death drop to the Bucks and freed Darby Allin from the coffin, while the crowd at Wembley Stadium went wild. Of course, this is the first time that he's made an appearance in AEW since his retirement earlier on this year at Revolution. Hook is the brand new FTW champion. Following months of battling against Chris Jericho, Hook regained the FTW championship during All In, with his father Taz stepping in to help even the odds against the Learning Tree. The match was presented third on the main card and began with Jericho leading his band Fozzy with a live rendition of his current entrance music. He was followed by Hook, who had his name emblazoned on the roof via spotlight. The match featured a great deal of interference from Big Bill and Bryan Keith, putting Hook at a disadvantage for most of the runtime. Near the end of the bout, Hook ripped off the bandage to reveal that he could actually see out both eyes. Finally, after Jericho accidentally took Big Bill out of commission, Taz got involved to take care of Keith. This gave Hook the opportunity needed to submit Jericho with the Red Rum. Building to the show, Jericho and Hook had been feuding since March when Jericho attempted to take the younger wrestler under his wing but was rejected. This led to the creation of Jericho's latest gimmick, with Bill and Keith joining the learning tree in the weeks and months that followed. Jericho defeated Hook for the FTW Championship at AEW Dynasty back in April, and the former champion failed to regain the title the following month at Double or Nothing. The feud has continued with a series of tag matches until the apparent conclusion during yesterday's All In pay-per-view. Now, Mercedes Moné is still the AEW TBS champion after retaining her title last night. The CEO is now 7-0 in AEW after successfully defending her TBS championship over Dr. Britt Baker DND. Despite a Panama Sunrise, a curb stomp, and a lockjaw all in succession as Baker looked to pull off the upset, Moné was able to kick out and avoid submitting and ultimately nailed a Moné Maker to secure the victory and retain the title. So Mercedes Moné still the AEW TBS champion. Now, Jamie Hayter, for the first time in over a year, is back on AEW programming. 15 months after her most recent match, Jamie Hayter is finally back in AEW. The former Women's World Champion returned during the AEW All-In 0-hour pre-show, confronting Saraya and the Knight family in the ring after Saraya threatened to hijack the show, claiming there was no other British wrestler who compared to her. Upon arriving, Hayter proceeded to take out the entire Knight family, nearly getting her hands on Saraya in the ring before Harley Cameron helped her make her escape. Cameron herself was not so lucky, as Hayter grabbed her and delivered a vicious clothesline before posing in the ring before the fans of her home country. Now, Hayter last performed at AEW Double or Nothing 2023, where she lost the AEW Women's World Championship to Toni Storm. Hayter actually suffered the injury before Double or Nothing, but toughed it out long enough for the bout to change hands. She was subsequently forced to miss AEW's inaugural Wembley Stadium event last year and appeared in danger of missing this year's event as well, although word had recently come out that she might be preparing for a return. Now, as far as how this all came about, more details come courtesy of Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select. Now, Hayter, as I mentioned, was battling injuries in May of last year and required special clearance to even make it to Double or Nothing, where she was able to drop the AEW Women's World title to Toni Storm. By the summer, it had been clear to All Elite Wrestling that they wouldn't have her back in 2023. Now, Hayter returned to All In, and Fightful have learned more about the process to bring her back. Over the last few months, an in-ring return became more of a possibility, and the tentative plan to have her return at AEW All In was put in place. Sources close to Hayter claim that she was actually at an AEW taping recently to meet with AEW President Tony Khan, but it was kept close to the vest. In addition, Fightful have been told there was a general idea of what she was doing at the show, but it wasn't finalized until this week. Hayter is cleared for in-ring action, and at one point a short squash match was considered, but they went with the angle that we saw on the pre-show instead. Now, Forbidden Door officially is on its way to London. Ahead of AEW All in London, several fans noticed that local advertisements had also circled the city of London as the destination for the AEW New Japan Forbidden Door 2025 pay-per-view. This was later confirmed to be the case on the All In pre-show, with a commercial outlining August 24 as the date for next year's Forbidden Door pay-per-view event and London as the host location. Now, the specific venue from which Forbidden Door 2025 will emanate was not disclosed, although a few possibilities have emerged. Such possibilities include the O2 Arena, Wembley Arena, Craven Cottage, the home of Fulham Football Club. The latter building is notably owned by Shahid Khan, the father of AEW President Tony Khan. Ahead of All In, several AEW representatives, including Tony Khan, made a visit to Craven Cottage for Fulham's game against Leicester, but of course it would depend that during that period of time the football season would have started, so whether or not they'd be able to do that, considering again the ground and what have you, we'd have to wait and see. But indeed, it's going to be in London next year. Now, with London hosting Forbidden Door next year, the All In pay-per-view series will be momentarily moving away from the United Kingdom and to the city of Arlington, Texas on July 12, 2025. AEW All In 2026 will then return to Wembley Stadium in London. It wasn't the only big announcement for a big show coming up next year, because AEW Grand Slam will head to Brisbane, Australia next year, as announced on the 0-hour pre-show for All In. The news was revealed in a short video package, which features stars like Mercedes Moné, FTR, and Australian native Kyle Fletcher. Grand Slam will take place on February 15, 2025 from Suncorp Stadium. While not yet confirmed, the name of the event seems to imply that AEW won't hold a Grand Slam in New York's Arthur Ashe Stadium next year. Since 2021, the promotion has held Grand Slam as a TV special at the tennis stadium in the Queensboro of New York City. Additionally, it looks as though the company is continued to add to its pay-per-view schedule. Based on the date, Grand Slam will take place on a Sunday and will no longer be presented as part of AEW Dynamite. Now, ahead of the news yesterday, a report had emerged earlier in the month stating that AEW was in advanced talks regarding a stadium show in Australia, with Suncorp Stadium listed as one of the 3 possible locations for the event. Earlier this week, AEW CEO Tony Khan had addressed the Australia rumours by confirming it was something he was working on for 2025, with more information coming soon, and now we know that's going to be happening next year. Now, Tomohiro Ishii and Willow Nightingale were victorious on the AEW All-In 0 Hour pre-show, fresh off their win in a mixed tag team match at AEW Collision, Stokely Hathaway's first victory of any kind since December 2018. Chris Statlander and Hathaway came out on the wrong side of the ledger when Tomohiro Ishii hit a basement clothesline to Hathaway to secure a victory for he and Willow Nightingale on the All-In 0 Hour. This now means that Willow Nightingale will get to pick the stipulation for the CMLL Women's World Championship match taking place between her and Statlander at the AEW All-Out pay-per-view coming up next weekend. And finally, Tony Khan has maybe hinted at some things changing behind the scenes over the last year. Now, AEW President Tony Khan has commented how Collision has changed since its inception in June of 2023. Speaking at the AEW All-In London post-show media call, Tony Khan was asked about the company's creative process, to which he shared some information regarding the roles others fulfill in regards to the product and storyline. Whilst doing so, Khan commented on AEW Collision specifically, saying it's a much easier process putting the show together now than it was a year ago, with the locker room being in a better place overall. He said, quote, "I frankly think it's an easier environment backstage at Collision than it was a year ago to do things. I think it's a lot easier flow between the 2 shows than it was a year ago. I think the locker room is in a much better place than it was a year ago, as evidenced by when we came up here versus what happened here a year ago. I think it's a much easier job I have because I had to deal with the people on Collision last year, and it's a much easier meeting process to put the TV together than it was a year ago at this time." Now, while Khan didn't make mention of CM Punk, his comments could be in reference to the now WWE star, given his prominent role on the show itself and reportedly behind the scenes as well. But there you go, guys. Latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.